Hey, what's up, everybody? It's B Dollar again, and man, it has been one long hell of a day of wrestling, WWE, AEW. Let's get into it right now, and let's start off with AEW, given it was the first show that came on today, very early in the day, I should say. Also, AEW All Out, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Another marathon show from AEW, so let's jump right into it now. This pre-show, I guess I'll talk a little about it. Then again, I kind of missed the whole pre-show anyway, so I didn't really miss anything, honestly, because one, I actually thought it was on YouTube, but I found out it was actually on TNT, the pre-show, because there was a pre-show on YouTube, but they were talking about all the matches. But the Tailgate Brawl pre-show was on TNT, and this started at about 1 o'clock today, this afternoon. And I'm going to run through this really fast because, honestly, there's nothing really to talk about in any of these matches. So, what? You had Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs versus the Workhorsemen of JD Drake and Anthony Henry. I don't even really want to know how it went. I just know Samoa Joe and them won. Joe tapped out, JD Drake, so it's nothing much to talk about there. Daniel Garcia went against Katsuri Shibata. To what I had seen, just from some clips, Garcia won. Obviously, with him just joining the Death Riders nowadays, obviously he would have to go over, so I'm not really surprised by that. I don't know how the match went. Maybe it was good. I heard they had some time on it, but once again, like I said, I kind of really did not see any of the pre-show. The Paragon, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, and Hologram, or I guess the Conglomeration or something, went against the Frat House, which I didn't even know this was still a team. I'm like, how did they make the pre-show? In general, honestly, I don't even know how they even made any type of... You don't ever see these people, so it's like, I don't really even know who they are. I really don't. All I just know is that Hologram and them won, so... Yeah, and listen, I know it's a pre-show match, but does that really make you want to watch the pay-per-view after seeing that? Just a glorified squash match? Like, sit there and think about that. And I guess the last pre-show match, which I actually did see, given I didn't even figure it out, it was on TNT until, like, almost the end of the whole pre-show. It was Willow Nightingale, Mina Shirakawa, Harley Cameron, and Queen Aminata versus Megan Bayne, Penelope Ford, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue in the same 8-6 woman tag team match that's on Collision almost every damn week in some type of variation. And this time now, it was a tailgate brawl. So basically, it was some would say a sports entertainment or a holiday theme type of match here, with coolers out there, grills out there, cups, I'm sure some drinks and stuff. Something you would see at a tailgate party, and yeah, they just used them all as weapons. I don't have much to say about this because I did not even pay halfway attention. I just saw everybody hitting each other with weapons throughout most of this match. Willow and them won, but it's like this is something you would see out of WWE in some type of, sports entertainment or a holiday, like a Christmas brawl or a Thanksgiving feast or a Halloween type of brawl or something. But we have a tailgate brawl, so yeah, that's basically what they had here. So yeah, I don't have much to say about the pre-show. Okay, the pre-show is the pre-show, so let's move on into the main part of the show for All Out. And the first match we do kick it off with is Edge and Christian versus FTR. Obviously, Edge and Christian are going to be super over here. It's the hometown heroes and everything. Fans are going to sing along to Edge's theme song and stuff. So, yeah, it's going to get a lot of great stuff from there. I don't know, and let me say this too, because I know they had like a segment before everybody made their entrance out there. Because Edge and Christian, I guess they were getting to the building. I guess these are people that are from Toronto, because I did not know who any of these people were, okay? Somebody said they were from the Trailer Park Boys, Bubbles, and the Green Bastard Pro Wrestling, and I think somebody from the Maple Leafs. So I don't really know who these people were. I guess they all had to be from Toronto or from some show. I had zero clue who they were, so I did not really understand the jokes in that. But yes, one thing I can also say before this match too, Bryan Danielson was on commentary. We'll get back to him later on, because I got to say I'm enjoying his commentary more and more. Ever since they put him on commentary for Dynamite and the pay-per-views now too. But like I said, Edge and Christian made their entrance. Like I said, FTR made their entrance, and this was a great way to open up the show. Obviously, the crowd was very hot for this crowd. The crowd was very hot for this match. Edge, he ended up doing a little bit of a tribute to John Cena, given that John Cena did a tribute to him on SmackDown recently. But yeah, Edge did like the 5-knuckle shuffle, and he did a FU right after. I know they didn't say John Cena's name on commentary, but the fans was chanting Cena and everything. So like they did a tribute there. They even did like sharpshooters at the same time on FTR, tribute like in the Bret Hart and stuff. FTR was able to get to the ropes and everything and stuff. I know Stokely tried to distract the referee, so FTR came back. They did like that Power and Glory finisher, where it's like one jumps off the top rope and the other one does, which ended up being a kick out then. Edge came back. I know he ended up trying to pin Dax after that, but Stokely ended up pulling the referee out of the ring then after Edge had got the pinfall. I know he had some powder. I guess he was going to pull like some Mr. Fuji type of thing going on, but next thing you know, some music played, and it was Beth Phoenix. They can't say Beth Phoenix, but they did say Beth Copeland. Beth Phoenix did get a big pop, though. She ended up spearing Stokely to the ground, and then she ended up carrying him away off to the back. Right after that, Dax, he ended up hitting Edge with like the ring bell then, taking him down for like a near fall. Still, Edge had kicked out. I know Edge ended up trying to fight back, but he ended up getting hit with a shatter machine then. But Edge still kicked out of that then. FTR hit another shatter machine on Edge, but they didn't go for the pin. They ended up going for Christian then. Christian tried to fight him off, but Christian ended up trying to fight him off, but they ended up like they slammed her through like the announce table. Well, he didn't even go through the announce table. Like they just threw him onto the broadcast table then, but it didn't break. But I think the crazy thing about this match, I thought was kind of weird, because like I said, like FTR ended up hitting like the shatter machine on the Edge, right? And then they hit a second one. But once they hit that second one on him, it's like Edge didn't even sell it almost. Like he sold the first one, but he was like back on his feet after the second one. And that's when like Christian had got involved and ended up pulling one of FTR's legs then. And it's like Edge was just kind of magically back up. And, he did like one spear on the cash then. And Christian held on to Dax's legs. So Edge basically won the match from there. I thought the finish was a little bit weird in a way. Because like, wait, he just did 2 shatter machines. It's like, okay, he kicked out of one. But then when they did the second one, they didn't pin him, like, immediately. And it's like Edge was already back on his feet after the second shatter machine. But like I said, Christian got involved in. He hit one spear, and Edge and Christian won the match then. So, obviously a feel-good moment for the hometown crowd. But then right after the match, Beth came to the ring to celebrate and all that. But then some more music interrupted, and it was Nick Wayne and them. Nick Wayne, obviously, I believe he broke his foot. That's why he couldn't even make it to, Forbidden Door. But he was in a wheelchair, and his mom pushed him out, to the stage then. Next thing you know, FTR attacked from behind, and Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian ended up handcuffing Edge to the ropes. FTR hit a spike pile drive on the Christian then. Beth tried to free Edge and she couldn't even get him out of the handcuffs. And Edge kept saying, like, go, get out of here. Go, 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 go. But Beth just basically ended up kissing Edge, saying like, hey, I love you, but I got to do this. She tried to fight off FTR on her own then, but then she got hit with a spike pile driver then. And like Edge was like, he was kind of shocked, and he was like trying to get out of there and go after FTR, which, he ended up eventually getting free from the handcuffs and checking on his wife then. That's saying like, it's like he was shocked and trying to like rush to her, but his reaction was like kind of weird, almost like, it's like he was worried, but it was almost like, I don't want to say it was like a delayed worry, but it was like bad acting type of worry. Like, he was like, oh no, my wife was there, like, go, like I got to get to her and everything. So it's like, yeah, his best friend and his wife have been taken. Kind of weird that Beth makes her AEW debut and she ended up getting taken out then. So she makes her debut, but then gets killed by FTR. So kind of crazy way to debut into a different company, though. So wild stuff from there. So obviously this feud is going to continue with Edge and Christian versus FTR. So I'm sure it's going to be another match that's going to happen after this. But we'll see as it goes. But I thought it was a real good way to open up the show. Got the crowd hot. And like I said, the hometown guys won and everything. And like put some heat back on FTR. So it's like, yeah, they lost here, but they got their heat right back and beat up Christian and beat up Beth Phoenix. So it's going to continue. Next, and I'm going to be honest, I think this was the worst match of the night. Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill. Now, if anybody watches Collision, which I know nobody really watches Collision at this point, including myself, the only way they've been building this feud up is with Big Bill calling out Eddie Kingston multiple times on Collision, trying to see who the toughest guy in New York was, or the King of New York and everything. And I'm really thinking to myself, like, they didn't play any type of video package or get any words from Eddie Kingston himself. It was almost like Eddie Kingston's coming back at the pay-per-view. That's all you need to know. And it doesn't really make sense with Big Bill because it's just kind of random, honestly. And, if you really would think in your head, like, wouldn't it make more sense for Eddie Kingston to go against Gabe Kidd or something? Given that Gabe Kidd, that was the last match he had, was against Gabe Kidd. And that's why he broke his leg. But I guess Gabe Kidd obviously is back in Japan right now for New Japan. I don't know. I haven't really seen what New Japan's been doing lately, but I'm going to assume he's back over there right now. And why they didn't just do Eddie Kingston versus Gabe Kidd, that would have made more sense given what happened the last time we even saw Eddie Kingston in a match. He broke his leg going against him. But, yeah, it's a lot of things that don't make sense from this. So, like I said, Eddie Kingston just comes back. He gets a big pop. He's got a Claudio Sucks Eggs t-shirt. This match was bad. Okay, this match sucked. It really sucked. Like, the crowd was happy to see Eddie and everything, but this match itself was just bad. There was a lot of botches. I'm not gonna, keep going back and forth, but there was, like, several of them that that looked bad. Especially it was one with, like, I think, like, Bill was trying to do a black hole slam on Eddie Kingston, and they barely even hit it. Like, they tried to recover as much as they could, but they barely hit it. And then it's like, Eddie Kingston, he does that back fist move, and I think he hit the first one, but he looked like he went for another one, and he missed it. He missed the whole damn finish. Like, this was bad. And listen, man, I know Eddie Kingston's been gone for a long time. I understand that. His leg was broke. But I've seen a lot of people kind of try to put out there, like, could Eddie Kingston at least, gotten into shape or something when coming back? So, I don't know, but, because he basically looked the same. Like, he looked the same. He didn't really look any different. I don't know if I was going to be expecting him to come back jacked to the gills or something like that, but Eddie Kingston looked the same, and this match was bad. This match sucked. Listen, it's one thing I'll say about Eddie Kingston. I like Eddie Kingston on the microphone. When it comes to the matches, it's like a hit or miss type of thing. It really is, and it depends who he's going against, too. This was bad, and I felt like a lot of this was on him. So, to me, this was just like, it was very underwhelming. The match went, 7 minutes, and then right after, Brian Keefe attacked right after, and then they just sent a Hook out there, and Hook helped them, and Eddie Kingston and Hook hugged after that, and, that's kind of what happened. This was nothing. I'm honestly surprised they even put this on pay-per-view. But then again, it's a lot of matches I'm surprised they even put on this damn pay-per-view that probably should have been on Dynamite or something. But it's like 15 matches on this show already. So, like I said, this is another marathon show. But this was probably the worst match of the night for me. I thought this really did suck. This sucked, especially with him even returning. This was not good. You missed the whole finish. I literally rewinded and went back and looked at it. I was like, he missed the whole back fist. So, I was like, what the hell was that? This was bad. This was really bad. But let's move on from this. Right after we had MJF versus Mark Briscoe in a thumbtacks and tables match. Listen, you're either gonna like this match or you're gonna hate this match. Me personally, I am sick of thumbtacks in wrestling. I really am. I feel like I see so many people do thumbtacks nowadays in wrestling that it just looks ridiculous. And it's for the sake of doing thumbtacks just because. I will say one thing about MJF and Mark Briscoe. At least there's story to this match. This feud has been going on for a while. I'm almost surprised it's going to end up in an Inferno match or something since these guys have tried to set each other on fire several times. Because I even wonder, what is a thumbtacks and tables match? So it's MJF, he comes out with the all white and everything. He's got white collar wins on the t-shirt and stuff. And here's the thing, they did this whole match with thumbtacks in the middle of the ring and was basically taking bumps on it throughout the whole match, which there was just blood popping up everywhere on everybody. There was one point was blood is just on MJF's pants, and it looked like he pissed blood or something, which looked pretty crazy. And MJF hitting Mark Briscoe with a low blow. Mark hit him a J driller onto the apron then, but I think MJF got out of it, and then kept trying to slam each other on the Tacks several times. MJF, I know he ended up like poking Briscoe in the eyes then, and then slammed him onto the Tacks. Briscoe tried to do like a elbow drop, but MJF hit him with another low blow. I'm really trying to kind of go through what I saw in this match, but MJF he slammed Briscoe onto the Tacks then, and then shoving him, throwing him in his head, shoving his face into the Tacks, just wiping it on the ground and stuff. And I know they got a table in the match then at one point, which is I thought it was kind of funny, just to get MJF was going for a table. He unfolded it, but then he folded it right back and threw it back under the ring then. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then the fans chanted, "We won tables." Then I know MJF hit an Alabama slam onto the Tacks, but Briscoe got out of it. It was still a 2 count. Which here's the thing. So if he puts his foot on the rope, this is a no DQ match, right? So what is the point of putting your foot on the rope if it's a no DQ match? That doesn't make sense. And then, MJF, grabbed Briscoe's leg, just dragging him on the Tacks stand, and even trying to stick him in his mouth and stuff, and MJF punched him, and the Tacks flew out of his mouth. Briscoe even got back up. He started fighting back, taking down MJF then, even backdropping him into the Tacks stand, and he backdropped him again into, the Tacks, and then it's they had the table set up, and then MJF, because, MJF, what got me was this, this dude MJF did a tombstone pile driver onto a chair with thumbtacks on it, and I'm like, that's a kick out at 2? That was really a kick out at 2. I kind of started laughing when I saw that. And then MJF looked like he was about to do a tombstone off the top rope onto a table with thumbtacks on him, I believe. But Briscoe got out of it, and he hit a froggy bow on the MJF through the table, which is MJF kind of had to jump and he jumped up so he can go through the table with Mark Briscoe. And he did hit that move, and then not MJF, but Mark Briscoe hit another froggy bow then on the MJF onto the Tacks, and then he hit the Jay Driller then one more time for the win. So a much needed win for Mark Briscoe, obviously, especially against MJF, because it's MJF's been screwing over Mark Briscoe for several months now, getting his number and everything. So Mark Briscoe finally got the big win tonight. Like I said, you're either going to like this match or hate this match. Given this has been a blood feud, I can understand it to an extent, but it's do we really need a thumbtacks and tables match, especially with just thumbtacks all over the ring, and everybody just hitting random bumps on each other on the thumbtacks? Why, why it's just on the apron? It's right at the beginning, it's the whole ring have to be covered in thumbtacks, so it's going to get bloody and stuff. But at least, Mark Briscoe, he won, I guess you could say, clean. I don't know if MJF will be off TV after this or whatnot, but we'll see what happens next. But I'm going to assume this feud is finally over with Mark Briscoe and MJF. But yeah, Mark Briscoe, a much-needed decisive win right here over MJF, given how long this feud has been going. I guess MJF lost that CMLL title to Mystico the night before in Mexico, so maybe he will be off TV for a minute. I don't know. But let's move on to the next match. The Hurt Syndicate versus Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. I see they gave Ricochet new music with a bird sound for some reason. As my friend Shaggy would say, this looked like Def Rebel would have made this song, especially adding a stinger at the beginning. I'm going to be honest about this match. I figured Ricochet and them were going to win, given what I saw last Wednesday, especially with the Hurt Syndicate beating the hell out of, Ricochet and the Gates of Agony from, last Wednesday. So I kind of figured who was going to win this match. I don't think this was a bad tag match. I think the crowd was very quiet. I feel like the crowd was quiet throughout a lot of the night when it comes to a lot of these matches. And I'll tell you which ones, but this was one of them. One thing I will say throughout the entire night that you're going to see, because Shelton Benjamin did a double German suplex onto I think one of the Gates of Agony and Ricochet. You're going to see a lot of double German suplexes throughout this show. So it's there was definitely Suplex City tonight on this show. But like I said, this 6-man tag, MVP out there. I know they tried to target his knee throughout the match. I know he even had to come back doing the balling move and all that stuff. Lashley coming back with spears onto the Gates of Agony. Ricochet breaking up with a 450. I know they ended up fighting to the outside of the ring then. Lashley was setting up for a spear, but one of the Gates of Agony guys, I think they threw a chair at him and stuff. And I know he picked up Lashley, but Benjamin had, threw a chair to get him off of him then. And then I know, one of the Gates of Agony did, I think it was a spear. It was, a double clothesline do like both of Lashley and Benjamin, knocked them over into like the timekeepers area then after that. So they went over like the barricade then, and it was like Ricochet and MVP. MVP was going for the playmaker, but like I think it was Bishop Khan that ended up stopping MVP, and then like he chop blocked him and like he held MVP in position so Ricochet could do his spirit gun like move and won the match. So I'm not too surprised Ricochet and then won, but the crowd was just kind of silent for it because I think they were probably in disbelief that wow, the Hurt Syndicate actually lost here. Which I'm not surprised MVP took the pinfall. I didn't really think Lashley or Benjamin was going to. But given what I saw last Wednesday when like the Hurt Syndicate was beating the hell out of these guys, I figured who was gonna win here. But like I said, it's like the crowd was pretty quiet through a lot of this match, other than a few spots here and there. But I think they were just kind of quiet even in the end because I think they were very surprised that the Hurt Syndicate even lost. So obviously this is going to continue, I'm sure. So I'm sure it's gonna be another match with these guys or something's gonna happen next. But I don't think this feud is over. It's going to keep going. But moving on from that, Mercedes Moné versus Rio for the for the TBS title. I know they put Taz on commentary. Like, one thing I will say about this, and I'm going to say this all the time. Get rid of get rid of Excalibur off commentary and leave Taz and Danielson on there. They're great. I have no problem with them. Excalibur sucks. You hear me say it all the time. He's just not good. Danielson and Taz, I'd rather just keep them on there. And add JR if you like. I will say, too, I was actually surprised Jim Ross was not on commentary for one of these matches. Because, I've noticed, AEW, they only bring JR back when it comes, just the pay-per-view matches. Like, he'll probably, commentate for, 2 matches or something. But he wasn't here tonight. Hopefully he's doing good and everything. I know he beat cancer and stuff, so hopefully he's not sick. I know he still does, his podcast on YouTube, so I know he's still out and about doing things. But I was actually kind of surprised that he wasn't on the show on commentary, especially, towards the main event or something. I would have expected him to be on there. But, no, we didn't see Jim Ross. So hopefully everything is okay with him and everything, but I know he still does his show on YouTube, so I'm sure it was some reason why he couldn't be on All Out tonight. But let me say this about this match, the TBS title. Listen, the match didn't suck, but I could not take this seriously. I'm sorry, I can't. This match was like a joke that writes itself, especially the build up in the feud, or why was this even a feud to begin with? So, because here's the thing, Rio just came back from out of nowhere and got a title shot. No one hadn't seen Rio in, honestly, God knows how long on this show, but she immediately comes back and get a title shot. Personally, and like my friend Shaggy said this, they should have just kept using Windsor versus Mercedes and built up going into the pay-per-view, okay? They should have did that. I don't understand why they even did this match. I'm surprised this match is even on pay-per-view, honestly. I don't even know what was the point of even putting this match on pay-per-view. There was literally no build. And even when Rio came back, I just started laughing. Because I'm like, this is a joke. This is a joke. And listen, hey, I'm sorry if, people don't want to go off the size thing and everything. But no one's not going to buy into this. And you can see the crowd didn't buy into a lot of this either. Yeah, you got a few chants here and there, but you could tell that the crowd did not believe in a lot of these near falls that Rio was doing. And yes, I know she was the women's champion before. She was. But at that time, too, how many people believed in that? And listen, I could go on about Mercedes, too. You hear me make the jokes, creative control and, whatever 9-belt, 10-belt, whatever belt this is at this point. I think it's kind of funny that her entrance was, all these, male stripper guys wearing all her, title belts that I'm sure nobody doesn't even know what half of them are from whatever country or indie promotion. So, listen, that's a joke that writes itself, too, but I'm not here to go into that right now. I just think this whole feud going into this is a joke. Like, come on, man, it's Rio. Did anybody really think Rio was ever gonna beat Mercedes here? This was a waste. You could have did this on Dynamite. This did not need to be on pay-per-view. And it's the thing. I don't think the match sucked. I don't even think it was that bad. But I just was not invested into this. Hey, this is one of those things, you either gonna like it if you like it. If you didn't, if you didn't. I don't even think the match was bad. I just felt like, why do I need to care? And honestly, I'm surprised this match even went this long. This went 16? 17 minutes? Like, yeah, if you want to talk about it, I guess a technical wrestling match, then yeah. I can't say it was like bad. I'm not gonna say the matches sucked, but there was no type of way you were gonna make me believe that Rio was ever gonna beat Mercedes. And once again, you gotta bring that size factor back into. And that's saying Mercedes not even that big herself, but come on, she looks bigger than Rio. So I don't know. Okay, like it was what it was. I don't got much to say about this, but this, like I said, all of this leading into this is a joke that writes itself. So I'm sure this was a one-off, and whoever Mercedes' next opponent will be is whatever, I guess. I don't know, okay? But like I said, this whole thing is a joke that writes itself. I don't know how many times I can keep saying that. So, hey, if you like this match, that's you. That's all I'm gonna say. Didn't say the match sucked. It's just everything going into this match that really sucked that nobody didn't care about. Moving on, though. The AEW Unified Championship. I can't even say Continental, but even though Okada has like 3 belts, but the Unified Championship. Kazuchika Okada, Konosuke Takeshita, and Mascara Dorada. Personally, I think this should have been a one-on-one match. I don't know why this needs to be a triple threat match. We know Mascara Dorada is going to take the pinfall, so you already know Okada was going to retain this. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that Okada was going to lose here. Like, he just wasn't, okay? It was never going to happen. I think people probably just wanted to see Okada versus Takeshita, which makes a lot of sense because they keep talking about what Okada's like the best tournament wrestler and everything. And, like, you going against Takeshita, which, by the way, both of these guys have won G1s. Hell, Okada's got, like, 3 to 4 G1s on him. But Takeshita just won the recent G1. So, I think people would rather see that match more than a triple threat. But you have to give Mascara Dorada credit here. He was great in this. Yeah, I didn't want to see a triple threat match, but I cannot deny that this match was great. This was a great match. Honestly, I thought this was one of the best matches on this show. And the crowd was with Mascara Dorada. Like, he was doing a lot of wild stuff in this match, okay? And the fans were behind him. And this was a great match in general, man. Like I did like Okada, I know he does, like, his little middle finger thing and stuff, but he tried to go like an elf, like the Rainmaker and everything. But it's like, what, Okada tried to go for a Rainmaker, did Takeshita hit him with a Blue Thunder Bomb, which was crazy. That this is when the fans were really up throughout this match. This was like when the crowd was at one of its hottest throughout the entire night, okay? Because even Dorada doing like a big Hurricane Rana off the Takeshita from the top rope. I know everybody started trading like pinfalls at one point in the match. What else? Like, Okada was going for like his Tombstone Pile driving in. I think which Okada did on to Takeshita, but Dorada came in with a big like moonsault in, which one point like he did the moonsault and Takeshita moved out the way, but when he landed on the ground, he did like another moonsault and landed on Okada. That was pretty cool. And I know he had like a moonsault and both of them then. It was like a near fall. I know he tried to go for a shooting star, but Okada put his knees up then right after. Like, Takeshita did a power bomb onto Mascara Dorada. Did hit him with a knee strike right after. Like I said, Dorada was taking a lot of hits out there, but he was showing out too. But like Okada, like I know he ended up kicking Takeshita in right after all 3 guys were down. Fans was chanting fight forever and stuff. I know at one point I think Dorada like tried to go like a double DDT on them if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like on the apron or something, but I know Dorada ended up going high. He tried to go for Takeshita. Takeshita stopped him. Takeshita ended up like suplexing Dorada. Like, he hit him with his finisher. I know that. But then Dorada tried to hit like a small package. Takeshita still ended up hitting him with the Raging Fire. But Okada broke it up. Okada ended up drop kicking him. And then Okada did a Rainmaker onto Dorada for the win. So, obviously, Okada was going to win here. Like I said, I'd rather have just seen a one-on-one match with Okada and Takeshita. I don't think they needed Mascara Dorada in this match. And you knew he was going to take the pinfall. But the man did show out, though. So, it was a hell of a triple threat match. I will say that. Especially for a match, once again, one thing I could say about this entire show, a lot of these matches did not have a lot of build to them, okay? It really didn't. So, like I said, take what you want from this, but hell of a match, though. Right after that, we got Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin in a coffin match. And once again, you knew you were going to get a wild, bloody match right here. So let's get right into this. Because right as Moxley is making his entrance, Darby ended up attacking him from behind in the crowd. He ended up jumping off the balcony, doing a coffin drop onto him to the ground. Then fans chanted, "Holy shit." I know they ended up like fighting throughout the crowd then until they got to the ring. Darby got him back to the floor. I know he ended up knocking him onto the barricade and then crouching him from there. He went for he bit Moxley's ear, which he started bleeding in. So a lot of blood coming out Moxley's ear. He kept trying to bite onto it. I think he pulled like the earring from him or something. I know Moxley wore an earring, but he was bleeding from his ear. He got ran to the steps then right after. Darby had like a big suicide dive into like the coffin, like standing upright. That was like Darby's like a human missile when he runs into you. So I thought that was a pretty crazy spot right there. Moxley got Darby into the coffin, tried to slam him. He slammed his fingers into it, I know that. And he says, like, nothing's going to be over till you're underground. Next thing you know, the Death Riders come out, obviously, and they come help Moxley then. But it's like as they beat up Darby then, Moxley ended up sending him to the back saying, "I'm going to do this on my own." There was a coffin in the ring. Darby ended up, like, slamming Moxley's hands into the coffin. You know, as the lid of the coffin slamming into Moxley's hand then. And I know Moxley ended up doing it to Darby himself. And then Darby ended up taking a fork and stabbing Mox in the head several times. Just stabbing him and stabbing him. And I know at one point Daniel said on commentary, he kept saying he wasn't going to get involved in this match given his feud with the Death Riders. So he promised he would stay out of the match. But, Darby's still stabbing Moxley. He ended up doing, a scorpion death drop in. And then he had, a lead pipe under the ring after that. But then Moxley had a fork and ended up trying to stab him in the eye then as he tried to get him into the coffin and stuff. Darby ended up biting him again. But Moxley ended up hitting, several, knee strikes to his head then. And then, Death Rider him on top of, the coffin then. And then tried to put him into the coffin. But Darby ended up using that pipe and, just blocking it from closing it. Moxley thought he won the match. But Darby started choking out Moxley with the lead pipe is like Mox is trying to get out of it. And then Danielson, he pulled a duffel bag from under him and slid it to Darby, and he was like, "Do it." It was basically a plastic bag which he started putting over Moxley's head and just choking him out and trying to just suffocate him and stuff then. And he was trying to do as much as he could until Moxley got out of the plastic bag. Next thing you know, PAC returned with a new haircut, by the way. And still, even more jacked to the gills. So we haven't seen PAC in a while, ever since that match with Swerve and what happened to his ankle, I believe. So PAC hasn't been seen in, the past couple months now. But PAC was in the ring, and he had, a big razor's edge onto Darby to the outside on top of a coffin. Say what you want about Darby Allin, man. This man was taking hella insane bumps out here, which it's almost surprised this guy even moves even after all of this. So, after, that, slamming him into, the coffin to the outside, PAC got him in the ring, put him in a body bag, and just drug him to the coffin, and Moxley closed it and nodded to him and stuff. So, they closed the coffin, and Moxley won the match. He won the match from there, and then next thing you know, the Death Riders. The Death Riders ended up coming out, and they carried, Darby to the back while he's in the coffin as Moxley saying, he did this to himself, Let me say this too, man. How many people are going to keep joining the damn Death Riders now? So, PAC's back. You added Daniel Garcia. And I'm going to get to the next potential member in the next few minutes. But how many people are we going to keep adding to the Death Riders? I'm going to be honest. Is this Death Riders thing in any type of end in sight right now? Because it looks like this thing has gone on forever. I thought Moxley would have been gone after All In and take some time off. But no. They are continuing this. And given that Danielson was disappointed on the commentary and pissed off, I'm sure he's going to get involved in this sooner or later. I do have to wonder, where were all the other faces? What happened to the faces that were fighting the Death Riders back at All In, which I would say Ospreay and Swerve are hurt right now, so they can't really do it. And then again, we already saw one hardcore match back at Forbidden Door in that dog pound steel cage. Now we had a coffin match. What's next? It's going to be a blood and guts match or an inferno match, which I can say this right now because later in the night, Moxley sent the Death Riders back saying, "Y'all can go." And I guess he was about to do something else to Darby while he was in the body bag in the coffin and stuff. But when he Darby just kind of lifted up the coffin and just started beating up Moxley with the pipe then and stabbing, He beat him up. He knocked him to the ground. He put him in the body bag and then threw gasoline on him and set him on fire. Either this was a quick edit trick right here or this was all live TV, pal. And he just set Moxley on fire. And then immediately, I guess, like, officials came in with fire extinguishers putting out Moxley's. Moxley tried to get out of there in the end. So, is it going to be an Inferno match? Because I feel like at this point, between the Death Riders and Darby, or whoever the Death Riders go against now at this point, it's going to be some type of wild, hardcore, crazy match. Because I feel like for like every single month on pay-per-view now, Moxley has to be in some wild-ass crazy. If it's a Texas death match, then it's, like I said, the whole lights-out steel cage match. Now it was a coffin match. I'm sure next it's going to be some type of Inferno match. So how many hardcore matches are we going to keep doing? Or is Darby going to assemble himself a team? Which I'm going to assume Danielson is probably going to get involved if they medically clear him in that. And it'll be some crazy blood and guts match. Which is kind of funny to say, because if we say a blood and guts match, that's another steel cage match, right? So we already just saw a steel cage match that was already back at Forbidden Door and a lights out steel cage, except this time will be a regular steel cage match, and that is a cage match that looks like a Hell in a Cell without a roof. So, yeah, what is the next wild, crazy match can we do with Darby and Mox next, huh? Tell me, what's the next one? I don't know, but you know this is going to keep going. And even this match here, some would say the finish was kind of flat, but I was like, this storyline is really going to keep continuing, huh? And it's like I said, the Death Riders just keep multiplying at this point. So who's next to join? Literally, who is next to join? But yeah, PAC is back, folks. So, yeah, we'll see what's next. But you gotta wonder where the face is at. I know they had the conglomeration in the back. I don't really care. I guess they were gonna tease Orange Cassidy returning this Wednesday. But, dude, that's some collision match. But it's gonna be on Dynamite, so I don't care. And then next was the AEW Women's title match on the line. The cool down match with a very surprising finish. So let's get right into this. I did like Toni Storm's narration video package into this. But here's the thing. There was no build really going into this Fatal 4-Way. Now, me personally, I thought it would have been Tekla versus Toni Storm. Since they were trying to build somebody new up right now. And they've been kind of showing Tekla get Toni Storm's number. And like the whole Triangle of Madness thing beat up Toni Storm. But given a lot of this was on Collision, and once again, random 6 to 8 women tag matches that's somewhere the same match every week. I'm surprised it wasn't for $500K or $1 million this time, but in some variation, it's the same match every week. So I thought it would have been a one-on-one. But this was a fatal 4-way between Toni Storm, Chris Statlander, Jamie Hayter, and Tekla. Hell, you could even say Toni Storm could have won against Jamie Hayter on, one-on-one by itself, given that both of these women have beaten each other for the Women's Championship before. But, excuse me, but like I said, though, just kind of continue on. Did I need to see a fatal 4-way from this? No. And I knew the crowd was gonna die down from this, because we just saw a crazy-ass coffin match. So this was definitely the cool-down match right here. And I'm watching this match and everything. One, they gave Chris Statlander new music for some odd reason. I didn't understand that. And I know they've been having Wheeler Yuta trying to convince Statlander to join the Death Riders, or him trying to give her, like, advice or something. And she doesn't know if she should listen to him or the Death Riders, which I feel like she's going to be, joining them soon. But, like, this Fatal 4-Way, given this was like almost like a filler match in a way, you think Toni Storm will win this match, right? Given she's been the champion for so long, she's not going to lose in a Fatal 4-Way match. This match is just kind of happening just because. There's not a lot of build to it. So there's no way you really think Toni Storm is really going to lose here, right? Right? You don't think that's going to happen. But, hell, color me surprised, because I was shocked by the finish of this. Because, Tekla ended up, spearing Jamie Hayter to the ground off the apron, right? And then next thing you know, Statlander, what was that? But yeah, Statlander, she does, what does she do? She does, Yuta's finisher and everything. Like, that whole roll-up, I guess it was called, the seatbelt or something. So she ended up hooking, Storm, to the ground, doing, Yuta's finisher, I guess, or, a move from him. And now we got a new AEW Women's Championship. So this felt very random, given there was really no build going into this match. It's very shocking. Because I don't think the crowd cared that much until the finish of this. The crowd popped for this finish because I think they didn't really expect this to happen. And it's just kind of weird in Toni Storm's title reign like this, too. Because it feels so out of nowhere. And I know some would say Toni Storm is like, what type of competition does she have left right now, given that she's damn near beating everybody, yet the one who was next to even beat. So, like I said earlier, I would have been fine if it was like a one-on-one match against Tekla, because at least that would have been new. But doing a fatal four-way and a cool-down match, and then just kind of even pinning Toni Storm, too. Like, she took the pinfall. It's not like any other woman took the pinfall. Like, the champion took the pinfall right here. Especially when it's one of your biggest stars in the company itself. I'm not even just talking about the women's division, just like the company itself. We know how over Toni Storm is. Like, she's that over that she doesn't even need the title right now. But did it really make a lot of sense to pin the champion right here? Like, it didn't make a lot of sense. I know Harley Cameron ended up coming out celebrating with Statlander as Toni Storm just looked shocked as she walked to the back then. But this really didn't make a lot of sense. Like, it really didn't. It just felt very random. So do I think Statlander is going to join the Death Rider soon since she like used Yuta's move? Possibly. It could happen really soon with her as the champion. But then again, when they already got Marina Shafir, how come they just didn't have Marina Shafir go for the title? I don't know how many people they're going to keep adding to the Death Riders at this point, because it looks like they're just adding more and more people. So I feel like Statlander is going to be next. But she did win the title on her own, but I feel like eventually she may end up joining the Death Riders. But it just like this was very random. Like, this did not make a lot of sense. It really didn't. And, you know, as we move on from the women's title match, we then move on to, once again, a match with no build until this week, with random tag matches going on. A fatal four-way. By God, we just saw one fatal four-way match right here. Now we're getting another fatal four-way match right after. But a fatal four-way tag team title ladder match. Brodito versus the Young Bucks versus Jet Speed versus Josh Alexander and Hechicero. Listen, I'm not going to try to call everything in this match, because it's expected. It's what I expected. It was going to be a spot fest with a lot of crazy ass moves going on. So I'm not going to try to keep up and talk about every move from here, okay? All I know, it was a lot of people jumping off ladders, on the tables. Some spots are pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. I even know, like, they ended up making, like, a bridge on it, and then everybody, like, did. It was kind of weird. Everybody, like, did, like, a whole sequence of moves of somebody going through a table or somebody going through a ladder. I think it was, like, Brody King, like, doing, like, his finisher on, you know, onto a ladder of the bridge with, I think, Kevin Knight, even though, like, the ladder, like, kind of, it was, like, a bendy ladder that just kind of, like, bounced back to itself, so I think that was kind of crazy, and, like, everybody just kind of, like, hit, like, a sequence of moves and stuff. I know, like, Hechicero did, like, his surfboard move onto, Speedball onto, like, the ladder, but, like, I think Speedball did, like, a backflip thing and then landed on Hechicero, which, it, like, he landed on his fingers, by the way, too, like, you know, wedged in there, so I thought that was pretty crazy. Right after that, I think, Bandito and Josh tried to climb the ladder then. I know he did a sunset bomb onto, like, a ladder bridge and stuff, which, you know, almost broke, but it didn't. I know fans chanted, "This is awesome," then right after they did that. At one point, Kevin Knight, I think it was on top of the ladder and everything, but, like, everybody in the ring almost, they picked up the ladder simultaneously and, like, knocked Kevin Knight onto, like, two tables to the outside of the floor then. And then it was like Josh tried to climb the ladder, but the Young Bucks broke it up and hit him with the BT trigger. They tried to rush up the ladder then, but Brody King ended up stopping them then, and ended up helping Bandito up to, like, the ladder then. I know Bandito did a moonsault then, and ended up taking out Josh and Hechicero to the floor. Brody ended up diving on everybody to the outside. He got back in the ring with Bandito, and then Bandito ended up just climbing the ladder and pulling down the tag titles and won. So, like I said, it was basically a spot fest match. There was no build to this till this week. So, like, this was a last-minute match. So, like I said, you're either going to enjoy this or you're not. But it was just a crazy ladder spot fest match. That's all I can really say. So, it was just a lot of insanity going on. But as the champion celebrated then, the Young Bucks was in the ring. And then next thing you know, Jack Perry returns, which I guess the crowd was kind of surprised, and attacked the Young Bucks. And then Rocky Romero just showed up out of nowhere and tried to attack Jack Perry for some reason. And then the Bucks end up double super kicking Jack Perry then. And then it's like they were going to hit the BTE trigger on him until, like, the lights went out. And they had this video package with Luchasaurus return. Which, here's what doesn't make sense right here. So let me get this straight. Kill Switch, Luchasaurus, whatever you want to call him, literally returned last month with the same video package of like some Frankenstein being brought back to life, right? So what was the point of doing it again when we saw the same one when he was with the Nick Wayne family thing, whatever. Honestly, I don't even remember how he even left Nick Wayne and them. It's like he just walked off from him and never returned. Because, listen, Nick Wayne is hurt right now. So it was just basically like Nick Wayne's mom and Kip Sabian left at that point, right? And I'm really trying to paint all this together in my head. So, like, Killswitch Luchasaurus walked off from them. But this was literally the same video package that they did last month. So he had a re-return, I guess? So, like I said, Luchasaurus returned and he helped Jack Perry and knocked the Bucks down and like took off the Kill Switch belt and threw it into the crowd, and then they hugged and played like their old theme song. So I guess they're faces again or something. Which here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this about the Acclaim too, because I gotta fit them into this since it looks like they may be returning them as a team. So what they're telling me that all these guys' singles runs sucked, all four of them, and it was just shit. Like, come on. Look at what we got here. Max Caster's singles push was just doing this open challenge thing of the week. How far did that really get over? Yeah, some people may end up chanting saying, Max Caster, you're the best wrestler alive. How far was that going to go? And this whole 5-tool player thing with Anthony Bowens, it sounded like a good idea, but was it really gaining enough traction? And now it looks like I see they're about to turn him heel on Collision. But now I guess Jerry Lynn is trying to get them back as a team since it looks like both of their singles careers have done nothing. Jack Perry is already a joke that writes itself when it comes to his single run and this whole joining the Elite thing and beating up Tony Khan. And hell, this guy got a world title match against like Danielson, and where did that go? And then again, what is the last time we saw Jack Perry? Lose to Daniel Garcia for the TNT title? So yeah, what happened with that? So he just been gone off TV for like forever. So I guess the only way to get these guys back over is to make them a face tag team. And listen, I knew Luchasaurus was gone for a while due to health problems and everything, but I guess they was like, okay, we're going to move him away from like Nick Wayne and all that, and we're going to put him back with Jack Perry and bring back the Jurassic Express now and make them faces randomly again. So I don't know, but it looks like it works obviously with the crowd, and maybe it'll add more to the tag team division right now and stack that back up, given like they probably just going to add 2 more tag teams back with the Acclaimed and the Jurassic Express. Because it's like the minute I saw Jack Perry, I didn't give 2 shits. I kind of wonder where he'd been lately, but I can't say I really cared of him returning also. But like I said, the crowd bought into it, and with him and Luchasaurus, I guess they're a team again. But I think it's kind of funny with Luchasaurus, given he returned last month with a whole video package. Basically the same thing. So it kind of tells me that, like I said, both of their singles runs was shit. So let's put them back as a tag team. And I guess they'll be going against the Young Bucks then. And I guess they'll probably go against Nick Wayne and them too, since Luchasaurus walked off from them. So we'll see what happens, folks. We'll just see what happens. But as we got closer now, we finally got to the main event of this show. Like, come on, man. Listen, when it comes to AEW shows, you know it's going to be a marathon, okay? You obviously know it's going to be a marathon. And let's see if I count this show. This show started at, 2 o'clock? And I'm just talking about the main show, folks. Going all the way at what time the main event started? About 6 o'clock. So at that point right now, it's the world title match going against WWE WrestlePalooza, because I believe WrestlePalooza was kicking off with John Cena and Brock Lesnar. So it's like, I wonder how many people stayed in tune for the world title match with AEW, given that the whole WrestlePalooza show was coming on at the same time with that. So obviously times are kind of running between each other too. I will say this about this match though, in the main event. Even though I thought the lighting was kind of weird, why were the lights dim for this match and they fixed the lights later on? But I gotta say, this was a hell of a match. Yeah, I gotta say, they made Kyle Fletcher look very strong and dominant in this entire match. This was great. I say a lot of things about Hangman, even though I still never really kind of buy into this whole him being like the world champion thing. You probably already talked about that before. This was a hell of a match. And I got to say, they really let Kyle Fletcher shine in all of this. They really did. Say what you want about the build in this with the promos and stuff. They really did make Fletcher look very dominant. And he was beating the hell out of Hangman Page in this match. He was like throwing him all over the place, over like the apron. He like did a brain buster like through like the table. like to the outside, like by ringside, which was kind of crazy. I know he ended up hitting like his finisher again on him in the ring, but I know Hangman ended up kicking out. I know they had a table on the outside of the ring too, so we'll get back to that in a second. But Fletcher was like beating the hell out of Hangman, focusing on his neck, giving he had the kinesio tape on there, and just like hitting him with like multiple elbow drops, hitting him with those kicks. Put him in like to a Boston Crab. He was beating the hell out of him in this match. I gotta say, he was beating the shit out of Hangman Page. I know Hangman was going for a moonsault then, but like Fletcher got out of the way and stuff. And he got Page on like to the barricade, I believe, and I know he did like another brain buster onto like the table. I think it was kind of right by the ring then. So he got him back into the ring. He was trying to get the world title then, but he put it back. Fletcher was still yelling at Hangman within the match. I know he had like a kick to his head then. Hangman ended up battling back then. Fans was chanting, "You're not ready." I did agree with Taz about one thing, what he said, like, yo, enough of this, like, are you ready shit. It's really annoying. He's either going to be ready or he's not. Enough of this is you're not ready. You're not ready. Like, enough of that shit. That's annoying. I thought it was really funny he said that. I know Hangman, I know, what did he do? He ended up like hitting like a dead eye onto Kyle Fletcher to the outside of the ring through the table, which I thought he landed very hard on his neck too. Like, that spot was very dangerous because it looked like Fletcher just landed straight up on his head. So I thought that was pretty crazy. He went for like a buckshot lariat, but Fletcher ended up falling to the ground then. Hangman crashed and burned, basically doing that. By the way, this match is already going 30 minutes at this point, but both of them are going back and forth. Hangman tried to go for like another dead eye, but you know, Fletcher kicked out. Fletcher tried to come back with a hidden blade then, even like with a tire driver, but Hangman ended up hitting like Swerve's finisher on him then, and then he went for a buckshot lariat and stuff, but Fletcher tried to get him like a roll up for a 2 count, and then end up like transferring into like a brain buster for another near fall. There was a lot of brain busters in this match. And then you got Danielson and Callis just like standing up while they're like doing commentary, and Danielson is like, "Come on, Hangman," and stuff. This match is awesome. These guys are going at it. And like, you know, Fletcher and Hangman are they're trading back like moves and stuff, kind of countering each other several times. I noticed like the exposed turnbuckle out there at the end. Fletcher and them going for like another one of those running kicks to, like the back of Hangman's head. He was trying to do like a brain buster from the top rope, but Hangman got out of it and he ended up doing like a big dead eye off the top rope. Which, by the way, that looked deadly too, because like he just landed straight on his neck. And literally immediately right after, Hangman ended up hitting like the buckshot lariat for the win. So this match was like damn near 40 minutes out here. I gotta say, this was a hell of a main event. This was definitely a hell of a main event to watch. Because like going into this match, it's like, listen, you know Hangman was gonna win, but I think Kyle Fletcher had a lot. He got to shine out here. He got to shine. They made him look very strong in defeat, so they really made him a very formidable opponent out here. They made him look very strong. I knew he was gonna win, given he's the TNT champion right now and stuff, but they were going to make him look strong going against Hangman Page. So I got to say, this was a hell of a match. Like, this definitely was a hell of a match. I enjoyed Danielson and like Callis and Taz on commentary. So I think that was great too. That played really well into the match also. Like I said, this was really great stuff. I'm not going to lie. Like, this was a great main event. Like I said, like, whatever my thoughts are on Hangman, I can't deny this was a great match. I cannot deny that. But like I said, that was the main event from there. So like I said, this show was very long. But then again, this is AEW. You know you're going to get another marathon pay-per-view. Like, we always get marathon pay-per-views, okay? Listen, and let me say this too. I know they went on earlier in the day, given I know WWE had the WrestlePalooza show at like 6, 7 o'clock. Because let's remember one thing, folks. From a business decision, yeah, you could say it was pretty smart to do the show earlier. Because AEW had that time slot first, like at 6 or 7 o'clock. They've been at this pay-per-view ready for this date on September the 20th. WWE just had a show, like, you know, doing this WrestlePalooza thing, literally just kind of came out of nowhere, and they just like, okay, we're going to take this time slot then, kind of just because, and AEW pushed it back. So I understand it from a business perspective. But here's one thing, AEW can't keep doing that all the time when WWE just happened, you know, just to counter-program AEW and then, you know, book a show the same day as them. Given that, especially when AEW had it first. But then again, looking at the card from this, like looking at the card from here and looking at the WrestlePalooza card, who is going to have the better outcome on here? Because obviously WrestlePalooza put as much big stuff as they could onto, for WWE, especially with the ESPN stuff. AEW, not saying this was a bad card or anything, and I enjoyed some matches here and there, but a lot of stuff shouldn't even been on the show or shouldn't even been this many matches because like 15 matches anyways for AEW. Some of this should have been on Dynamite, to be honest. Some of this you could have kept on pay-per-view, but I still feel like they don't need to make these shows that long, okay? It's a marathon every time. But you can't keep pushing the show back every time WWE does a show the same day because it's like it just looks like you kind of backing down from them and almost like you running from them at the same time. Especially in Tony Khan's case, given how much stuff he talks and say he's not going to take this shit. But you low-key took this shit at the same time and ended up pushing your show back to an earlier start time. But like I said, I get it, but you can't do it all the time. Okay, we can't keep doing this. But then it's just like WWE is just, someone said, purposely like putting shows the same day to counter program them. So take that how you want it, but how many times can they keep doing that? Like, my overall thought on the show, though, I enjoyed this show. I thought it was a really good pay-per-view, given that, like I said, yeah, it was still a long-ass show, but I did enjoy a majority of this show. I think the best things on this show was the main event and the Triple Threat Unified title match. I think the worst match of the show was Eddie Kingston and Big Bill. That's like the best and worst for me right here. But overall, I mostly enjoyed everything else. Like I said, some of these matches either the crowd didn't care for or were cool down matches and stuff. But like I said, I already told you my best and worst and everything. But like I said, I do feel like once I got to that ladder match, though, it was starting to drag for me after a while. Because even I was kind of getting to the point where it was like, okay, man, how long has this show been going on? If you really look at the total time frame, I think the show went 5 hours if you count the pre-show. So like I said, from 1 o'clock p.m. in my area, that's when the pre-show started, and this show didn't end till like 7 o'clock. So this was like, damn, like a 5-6 hour show, folks. But then again, this is, like I said, this is AEW. You're going to get these marathon shows, okay? So take it how you want it. It's going to be a long-ass show. But other than that, though, like I said, I did enjoy this show, though. I thought this was an overall good pay-per-view. A lot of matches didn't have a lot of build, like I said before, and stuff going into this, but some of them still ended up being really great. But other than that, though, that's all I got to say about AEW All Out Toronto. I will probably have a WrestlePalooza review coming up soon whenever I get to that. But I want to talk about All Out first, given it was the first show I did watch today. Like I said, it's been a hell of a day, folks. It's been a long-ass day when it comes to watching wrestling. But other than that, though, that's all I got to say. Comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at HoodNight890. Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. Other than that, I'm out of here. I'll see y'all then. Peace out.